The Beat of the Bronx, a Yankee podcast with Russ Lichty. Today's episode is brought to you by Your Bronx Dentist. Come meet Dr. Ebby and his team at two convenient locations in the Norwood and Throgs Neck sections of the Bronx. Schedule your next appointment at yourbronxdentist.com. And now, here's Russ.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Episode 25 of the Beat of the Bronx, Yankee podcast. Yankees, May 14th. It's Wednesday, May 14th. The Yankees are 24-18. Have the rubber game today at 4 o'clock with the Seattle Mariners in Seattle. Will Warren's on the hill again. He started off this road trip, and he's coming off a career start. We'll get into that a little bit later. But road trip, Yankees, took the series against the Athletics in West Sacramento over there, and the Mother's Day weekend. And now, looking Seattle, who's looking to get right. Last night Yankees lost 2-1 after 11. When the game went into extras, they left 14 runners stranded. In scoring position in scoring position. 0 for 14 with runners in scoring position last night. That's tying a franchise record for most hitless at bats with runners in scoring position. I got that from Greg Joyce's Twitter on X over there. But let's get into the before we get into anything, we'll get into the injury news and notes here. There's a lot. There's a lot coming off. Oh, what happened? Yeah, there we go. Injury news and notes here. We'll get into it. Luis Gil has started his throwing program, and he's probably about. This is all coming from Aaron Boone. Around 2 to 3 weeks away from getting on a mound in his throwing program, and that would mean best case scenario. A return we're looking for would be around July. So right off the bat, what I thought about, with this, with the Luis Gil news that we got the other day, kind of reminds me of last year with Garrett Cole came back around that time, around the July 4th time. So, Luis Gil, hopefully all goes well. He'll be back around. We'll say now, we'll strive for a July 4th, but the Yankees were saying July. The real unfortunate injury with Oswaldo Cabrera, they said it was the left ankle fracture, and he'll be going back, coming back here to New York, to get more tests. But it was, the non-contact injury, Brandon, coming home trying to score in the ninth inning, sac fly from Judge, and he did score, but it was an ugly injury. You can see he was in pain, and the trainers were consoling him, and you kind of heard him at some point of the broadcast, and good job on the broadcast not really showing the injury per se. And another one of the trainers threw the towel down his leg. You can see from some of the pictures you saw it was a real gruesome injury, but get well soon, Oswaldo. It's just real unfortunate. We were really pulling for him this year, to get his reps, and got the starting job at third, and has been playing regularly and doing, like Judgy said, he's doing pretty good, and he was doing a nice job at third base. Real unfortunate injury, but now it's a spot for Oswald Peraza and Jorbit Vivas to probably get some more work here, and kind of show what they got to prove. They got here, and at this level. And DJ LeMahieu coming back here now. So we'll see. The at bat last night, it was one at bat. Wasn't too great coming in off. He did strike out, but coming in off the bench. But one at bat, he needs a lot more at bats for us to see what he has left in the tank. But real unfortunate injury for Oswaldo Cabrera. So does that change the landscape of things for coming into the summer? coming up to July. We'll find out. We'll see. A lot could happen from now till then. Just like Jonathan Loizaga coming back. Towards the end of this month is the plan. Late May could be next week. 2 weeks from now. Just waiting. He's waiting to get that back to back. I think they said they were building him up to have that back to back outings on the 17th and 18th. So if all goes well, the Yankees will get that flamethrower. I mean, the bullpen, we've been talking about has been good, but the bullpen could use someone who throws, a little bit of a flamethrower, throws some heat, and that's, Jonathan Loizaga definitely fits the bill for that. So, it's like an acquisition getting Jonathan Loizaga back, the oft injured Jonathan Loizaga. So that's like, a bullpen arm coming back here. So, we'll see, how that goes. He's been pitching well in his rehab down in the minors. So he's with Scranton now. So he could be activated, like Booney was saying the other day, after the back-to-back appearances this weekend. So maybe we see him on the second West Coast trip after the Subway Series coming up. Big G, Giancarlo Stanton. We have been seeing videos of him, taking batting practice, running in the outfield, and he's ramping it up quite a bit. This was as of the beginning of the month, and he has continued to run on the field and hit off the traject machine. And while the Yankees are on the road, you see him during the home games, but on the road trips, you see him staying back and working. And Giancarlo, he's expected possibly late May, early June. Could he even be one of those guys? We've seen it before. Is he not even going to need a um, rehab assignment or anything? He's been hitting off the trajectory machine. He's most likely just going to be DH, and we'll see. But hopefully, if all goes well, end of this month, early June. So that's Loizaga and Big G coming back. That's like two big acquisitions, and we know the Yankees do need that right-handed bat. So Giancarlo, Ben Rice has been playing great. We know this. We see how Ben Rice is doing, but Giancarlo Stanton coming back. You subtract one of your weakest links from your bench, you plug Giancarlo back in, and that's just it's a good problem to have another bat like Giancarlo Stanton, in the lineup. Whether it's splitting time at Rice every day. At this rate, they're gonna have to try to figure out different ways to keep Ben Rice in the lineup. But you also can't forget about what Giancarlo Stanton can do. A healthy Giancarlo Stanton can do. So it's going to be a nice problem to have. And speaking of guys, in the bullpen, Clayton Beeter is also working his way back. We've seen him. He made the team early last year before his injuries. He made the opening day roster last season as a reliever, and he's going to be strictly used as a reliever. And he's working his way back now from right rotator impingement syndrome in his shoulder. But the expected return that they have on MLB.com is where we keep up with injury stuff. Yeah, the official, and we know all the injury news, but I like to keep what the official site's saying over there. And he's made 3 rehab appearances with AAA Scranton, and since being transferred there on the 2nd of May, allowing 1 earned run in 3 1/3 innings, and that was updated from May 12th. So could Beater be back? Could be back up with the club soon. Not like another reliever, and the bullpen's been very, very solid. We very, very solid, especially Fernando Cruz. They everyone guys have had their moments and blips here and there, but all in all, they've been very, very good. Jazz Chisholm, we'll see, possibly a June return. There was an update, with Jazz. It was the MRI revealed a high-grade oblique strain, and it's estimated a 4 to 6 week time frame. Jazz says he's actually dealing with 3 separate tears in the oblique, but still hopes to beat the initial timetable given. He says, he's a fast healer, but we'll see how long it takes for Jazz. Like we were saying, DJ LeMahieu's coming back. Jorbit Vivas is still up, and another chance here might for Oswald Peraza to really the one-time top prospect to prove what he can do. And Aaron Boone said the other day Right-handed pitcher Marcus Stroman. He just can't get over that final hump in his throwing process. He's still experiencing knee discomfort in his knee. So that's the injury news and notes. So keep an eye for Jonathan Loizaga should be back. I would say not this weekend. Maybe the after the Mets Subway Series this weekend, the next West Coast trip. Maybe just got to see how it goes for him here in those final two back-to-back rehab. So how's it been going? The Yankees took the series against the Athletics. They scored 29 runs, 29 runs that series in in Sacramento minor league, another minor league ballpark, just like Tampa Bay's using it. And it's is it ironic? Maybe. Could it be? Could we use it in our favor here? But Will Warren had two really nice starts in the American League minor league ballparks. One, when he was facing off against the Rays, he had a nice outing, and this one pitching in past the seventh inning. It was a great outing for Will Warren. Really showing the spin of that sweeper, and just it was a wonderful performance by him, and really dominant outing. Um, we saw Ryan Yarborough filled in very nicely for the Yanks. The bats really been going. I mean, Jason Dominguez had his career night, becoming the youngest Yankee with the 3 home runs. Had him from both sides of the plate, one being a grand slam. We saw another, Ben Rice grand slam. Ben Grisham's been staying hot, giving Booney and making him have a reason to keep him in the lineup. I mean, why not? I mean, Dominguez does get the short end of the stick sometimes here, more times than not. But could we see that change? In the upcoming games, series, and weeks here. Cody Bellinger's starting to pick it up a little bit. He's been he's had his struggles. We basically what Ben Rice is doing right now is kind of what we thought Cody Bellinger would be doing, and Bellinger's still doing, still making contributing with the glove defensively, and he's had his moments with the bat, and still the average, still getting on base, nice competitive at bats. Just that power hasn't been where we thought it would be. Anthony Volpe starting really to come around. The defense for Anthony is kind of taken a hit as of late, little bit concerning. His defense has been, a little bit off and not as good as it's usually has been. But the bat has really been coming around. Could we see, JC Escara the past few games has been hitting when he's in the lineup? Would really like to see some more from Peraza and Vivas. Now we're going to have to. With the injury to Oswaldo, but and also how much does DJ have left in the tank, and only time will tell with that. But hopefully, I mean, for our sake and the Yankees' sake, I mean, it's these are all if you want to say good problems to have for a first place team, but you just look around the league. We know it's not a sprint; it's a marathon, but. The Detroit Tigers have been the best in the American League. Even more recent have been kind of have had a really good record for for all the major league teams. So they've been really hot. Head of that AL Central, and as of right now, it looks like a team that's going to be one of our competitors. When it comes down to it, October baseball, when we get there and down to the nitty gritty of into more deeper into the pennant race. Now it's only May 14th, but you're starting to see now which teams are the players and the competitors, and you start to try to figure out what teams are going to be the sellers at the deadline. Because the Yankees are going to have to be active in the trade market. Definitely, Will Warren has been, his last start's been great. We'll see how he does today. But with Luis Heel hopefully coming back if all goes well on time, still going to need another pitcher. Still going to need another starting pitcher here. Because what they have right now, it's just, if something happens, where they're going to go from there. You need, definitely going to need at least one more starting pitcher. With the injury, to Oswaldo Cabrera now, and the uncertainty. I mean, only time will tell. I mean, it's May 14th. We have time now. So if DJ's back, hopefully he can stay healthy. If he's not performing up to the ability that the team wants him to. Now we have time. Now it's not like they have to go out and make a trade today or tomorrow. Still a little bit of they have some time now to kind of judge and see, and being in first place in the division. Now I'm not saying let's go into a downward spiral here, but let's see how it plays out. Baseball's funny that way. It always has, things always have a way, they always have a way they work out. I mean, DJ coming back the night before the tragic injury to, Oswaldo, it's, things they always work, find ways to, work themselves out. So, May, we're only middle of May here now, so things could be different. Come July 31st, different needs, and the Yankees will address those. But right now, the way it's looking, they're definitely going to need another pitcher, another starting pitcher. Could always use more relievers. So depending on who, that's the thing. Depending on who's available, there could be guys. You always gravitate towards the names of guys in their walk years, or free agents after next season on some struggling teams where guys kind of looking for extensions and stuff. We've seen, we'll see how the Yankees, and we've seen different ways they've been creative. Sometimes the trades work out, sometimes they don't. They're probably. I'm not going to sit here and say they're not going to make any moves, because I'd be shocked if they don't. They usually do, and we always hear about them trying to make different moves. But things could change, from now and then. But now until the deadline. But really, really want to see what DJ can bring, what's left in the tank here. That one at bat last night. Was a lot to be desired, but hopefully they said the plan was for him to be in the lineup today, so really want to see how he does out in the field with the ball game, and how much left he has in the tank. And Oswald Peraza, I mean, this was a kid who was called up and played a game in the ALCS, and then the next year he was beat out by Anthony Volpe. But we've always heard about him being a top prospect, and just injuries, and that bat hasn't been up to the he's had spurts. He had the home run against the Athletics, a couple of big hits. His glove is phenomenal. I mean, you see him in the field, his glove is great. But is he a big league bat? Now he's going to have his chance to prove that. I mean, we have some time here now. If he can't, if he's not getting the job done, if DJ is not getting the job done, if B-Boss ain't getting the job done, we'll see how Jazz is when he comes back. Could Jazz hop over back to third? We've seen him do that. And, there's really not much of a market right now for third baseman, other than the flashy names of Nolan Arenado. But why, as of right now, why would the St. Louis Cardinals even want to think about trading Arenado? They were on a 9-game heater. I don't know if they won last night. I didn't look at it, but they're a team right now that they've turned around themselves into contention. So why would anyone from the Cardinals, as of right now today, why do you think that they would trade them away to a contending team? They are a contending team themselves. You've heard names of, like, Brian Hayes. Do the Yankees want to take on a contract like that? I don't know. They've done it before, but could they go into, could they look for a middle infielder? We know they need, right-handed bat. Could it be, a middle infielder, a guy that plays second? Could Jazz go back to third? Could it be a utility guy? I mean, I know, Seattle's having a nice year so far themselves, but a perfect guy I think for the Yankees. I think of him every time I see him is Dylan Moore, or a player if you can kind of find someone like Dylan Moore. But that's the kind of player I think that the Yankees need right now. I mean, not saying Dylan Moore himself, but a player of that type and that type of ability. And but these are these um, little roster moves, that almost that some could say are like cosmetics. Thinking as of right now, they're all good problems to have. I mean, first and foremost, you really want to see, what DJ has left, like we said, and we'll worry about the trades when we get there. But right now, you got to beat Seattle, get this series wrapped up, wrap up the road trip, off day, come back home. Got the Mets coming in for the Subway Series. It's probably going to be a zoo. If you're going to the ballpark this weekend, hopefully the weather's nice. But the Yankees Mets Yankee Stadium. It's back on the weekends now, so it's not not that foolish 2-2 4-game season series set that's been going on the past few years. So it's back on the weekend, and if you do follow basketball, the Knicks are hot right now in their playoff series with Boston. So the mojo is going to be up and rising in the Bronx, and I can only imagine how it's going to be at the stadium this weekend. Especially with the Mets. I mean, the Metsies, they're coming in kind of hot here. They have a three game win streak right now. They're going for a sweep if weather permitting. They're going for a sweep against the Pirates. And coming into Yankee Stadium, the main story: Juan Soto coming back to Yankee Stadium. Um, I even look into like Carlos Mendoza coming back to Yankee Stadium. There's a lot of ties, with the Yankees, Yankees and Mets, and some, I always joke around and say the Mets sometimes act more Yankees than the Yankees do now, especially when they had Buck Showalter and before he got suspended, Billy Epler. But that's a story for another day. That's definitely a story for another day. But it's definitely going to be the Bronx Zoo this weekend. We'll see how the Mets do with their series. But Juan Soto coming into the stadium. I mean, too bad Max Fried. We didn't go and get to see him toe the slab. And unfortunate, the Yankees, didn't win the game last night. So that nice little streak they had going of winning all the games that Freed has started. But Subway Series this weekend. If you're going to the stadium, have a great time. Hopefully the weather's all right. But got to change. Yankees can't come in. Can't let the Mets come in here and sweep them like they did last year. It just always seems like the Mets always find a way, and they always usually dating back to like the late '90s when the Subway Series first started. I mean, Mike Piazza coming into Yankee Stadium, hitting banging balls into the black seats, um, tormented Roger Clemens for years. But just the Mets always came in. They always had good. There was the Luis Castillo pop up. That was something else when that happened, when he dropped that pop up when Mark Teixeira. But that was a fun night at the stadium. I remember being there for that one. But a lot of stories, a lot of ties between the Yankees and Mets, especially I think even back, dating with Yogi Berra, his 100th birthday. So would have been his 100th birthday, and what an individual Yogi Berra. Don't even have to, you know, an individual who explains, the lore explains itself of what Yogi Berra was, and just the ties of all the different players and the history. Joe Torre was also a manager of the Mets at one time. Um, Bobby Valentine played shortstop for the Yankees, back in the day. Actually wore number 2 playing shortstop. Bobby Valentine, a lot of history, and that's just a blip. Those are just little blips. That's a lot of different stories, as you say, for another day. I mean, Casey Stengel, Yogi Berra. I mean, just the list goes on and on. It's Yankees and the Mets. The rivalry it's more between the fans. more between the fans and more than anything else. I mean, what the two teams do, the way the league's configured right now, what the two teams do, one has nothing to do with the other. It's more more just bragging rights when it's American League, National League, but it's always fun when both teams are doing well, which they are right now. Even last year, both teams doing well, and you can arguably say could the Mets be the better team? The season will find out, but they're in my opinion right now. Um, we know what the Dodgers are, but right now I think the Mets National League best. So Yankees got to wrap this series up in Seattle. Really want to see a nice start from let's get another nice start from Will Warren today, and to cap off just in a big league ballpark. I want to see Willie do his thing in a big league ballpark, just so we don't have to hear that narrative that he pitched nice in the minor league ballpark. Because you even heard me say it. You can is he a minor league pitcher? Is he a big league pitcher? He showed his blips. Just want to see it more. See it more consistent here. Just really see some more consistent, more consistency here out of Will Warren. That last start was spectacular, and see more of that. And Rodon has been really doing his thing. The last had his hiccups against the Athletics. Two home runs. The home run ball came back to get him. Urias, that one arguably could have been maybe a mistake. Um, Snuck it to right field over there. But the homer to Brent Rooker, sometimes you just got to tip your cap. Brent Rooker is a nice, one of the top right-handed hitters in the American League, and sometimes you just get got. And Lowe settled down. It was just a rough third inning for him, but he settled down after that, and he was able to give the Yankees length. We've seen, the bullpen's been getting the job done. So let's see how long that trend can stay in the right direction here. Just Will Warren, Luis Castillo today. Yankees got to come away with the victory, and then Subway Series will be fun this weekend. But let's see, let's see what happens today. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Enjoy the bowl game. 4 p.m. start. Um, gonna hop off here now. We're gonna cut it at that. Just have a great day, guys. Um, happy belated Mother's Day. We've said on Instagram, but one last time, happy belated Mother's Day to all the moms out there, because this is the last episode that we've done since then. Little newer format, going for. So we'll we're just see what the Yankees do today. 4 p.m. start, and hopefully we get the series win. You want to keep up with updates, more news and notes. Keep up my Instagram, TikTok, all the videos, my story where we're most active on Instagram. That's when we repost the news and notes. You can catch me on X at Russ Lichty, NY Yankee Dad on X. We keep up with all the Yankee news and notes there, and some cool highlights, cool stories. I share them, and just to keep up with all everything going on in Yankee land, and just see really hoping today. It's I'm real interested to see how Will Warren does, and also how the Yankees fare against Luis Castillo. Could really want to see them get to him. Got to see some more offense today. I mean, last night it's crazy to me. It's just it's mind boggling that how they go from a series against the Athletics to score the 29 runs, and the offensive output where guys, it was like a get right series for the offense, and then all of a sudden, Brian Wu pitched a great game, but yesterday the 0 for 14 is just not a good look, and not a recipe for winning a bowl game. So let's see if they can get to Castillo today. But have a great rest of your day, guys. I'll talk to you. God bless, and as always, go Yankees.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Beat of the Bronx, a Yankee podcast. You can follow Russ on all social media platforms using the handle at NYYankeeDad. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube.